All right, we're started. Here
Awesome.
we go.
Well, do you want to introduce your podcast?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Pursuit of Everything with Levi. And today, Cass is going to grill me like like I did at Grant. Maybe we should have had Mackie up for this one.
Yeah, true.
Testifying.
Exactly.
Lawyer, attorney is all words you need to hear.
That's exactly right. Well, I just thought it'd be kind of neat, honestly, Levi. There's so many questions. You're so interesting. You're an intriguing individual that I think maybe we should flip the script and we hold the script and see what you have to say when the answers get fired or the
I'm very
questions get
nervous for
fired.
this.
Okay, I'm gonna do it a little bit. All right. We're gonna bring them back. The questions will bring it back down.
Yeah, humbling.
Exactly. Okay, so what I want to kind of start with is one of the things that I have been thinking about as I've sat here with you and kind of watched you interview other individuals is, you like to hear kind of about their story and their start, the things that maybe they struggled with that got them from point A to point B. So one of the questions that I was interested in was just take me back. How did you really get your start?
That's a great question. I think like early in life, I struggled with how to fit in with like how the society norms are. This fits great for kids are going back to school today. I was not a good student. I didn't conform well to like the standards of memorization and regurgitation. And in my era, I went to high school in the mid '90s, and it was like everyone needed to go to college to be an accountant or be a nurse or something like that. And that just wasn't my vibe. So it took a while for me to like get footing and kind of figure out what I want to do. So right after high school, I moved to Alaska for a year.
Okay. See, we're already getting things that's like a rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I worked construction in Alaska for a year, which is funny because I'm the worst outdoorsman on the planet. So I should never be in Alaska or Montana. And
here you are.
And here I am. Yep. So I did that for a year, kind of made my way back to Montana. And then I kind of, bounced around jobs and bartended, bounced, worked at a trust company. And then I was getting married, and my wife at the time was a teacher. They weren't hiring teachers in Billings. So we moved to Las Vegas because that's where her dad lived, and they were hiring teachers there. So I got a job as a maintenance man at a big apartment complex, which is funny because my dad always jokes that I could never even fix my hair, let alone fix anything in someone's house. So I kind of moved up the ranks pretty quickly. I was a people person and got along. So I went from maintenance man, I was maintenance supervisor, and then they moved me into the leasing office. And that's kind of how my real estate life started. And then we decided to have kids, and so we moved back to Montana because we wanted to raise kids in Montana. And I got a job again at a property management company, and just kind of got into real estate in that direction.
What do you feel like pushed you into the building and leadership, like rather than chasing more of that ordinary path? Because what I hear is you were, you went to Vegas, you did the maintenance man, you kind of dipped into real estate, came home, and then kind of did the same thing. What finally pushed you out of that into more of the leadership rather than just kind of that everyday grind?
Well, it's funny. So I had two kids. I decided I wanted that, more stability, more, like the lifestyle that, you take care of your family, you work your 8 to 5. So I took a job at the housing authority and like got a government job, had every, weekend, 8 to 5, every holiday off, Veterans Day, President's Day, anything you can ask for, the good benefits, all that good stuff. And I was absolutely miserable. It was like the worst 6-8 months of my entire life. I hated every second of it.
Wow.
Just because it was those positions, if you work too hard, then you can't go anywhere. There's just nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You mess it up for your coworkers. Yeah. They're like, why are you doing so much? I'm like, because I'm bored out of my mind. Like I was just dying. And
there's nothing worse than boredom, I think.
It was awful. And the one thing that we learned from our dad was it's hard work. He was a truck driver, grew up a farmer, like the 8 to 5 wasn't his game. It was, up at 3 a.m, work till 7 o'clock. There was no, and that's just who we are. We just pump work. Like that's just, and I think that's where you get fulfillment in life is where you have a project, you're pushing towards a goal, and those positions just aren't built for that. I mean, that's why you see all the cuts and everything, because people just want to sit there and do nothing. So I was studying for my real estate exam at the job that I was at, and I went into selling real estate. I quit that job. No backdrop. No, burn the boats mentality. Just go. So,
Awesome.
yep. So to take care of my family, I threw boxes at UPS in the morning, painted with my maintenance guy at night, to pay the bills. Because then when you're selling real estate, you don't get a check unless you sell something, and then it's 45 to 60 days after that. So,
Did somebody tell you that you should get into real estate? Like, how did you end up?
I always wanted to sell real estate. Not when I was young, I never thought I could be a salesman. But it just really fit. I was really good at leasing apartments. I was really good at, talking to the clients and everything. And actually the property manager that I work for here told me not to do it because they didn't think I'd succeed. I think they just wanted to keep me working,
Sure. I would see that.
keep you down sort of thing.
Mhm.
So I always thought it would be a good fit for me because the harder you work, the more money you make. And that's kind of the way I think the world should be. I don't think you should be guaranteed anything. You should get what you deserve. And then I sold real estate for a few years. And one of my big breaks was I landed a client. He's still a good friend of mine, and he's a builder here in town. And so I started selling new construction, which instantly a switch just flipped for me because that was what I was meant to do, was sell new construction. And he's still a great guy. I learned a ton from him. I learned how to manage jobs. And so I decided to do it for myself and started with one spec one year, and next year was 6, next year was 12. Now we're up to 60.
Holy cow. That is kind of amazing that you just bet on yourself. Kind of one of the last questions that I have as far as like your foundation, what would you say that a single lesson from childhood that you still carry into your business life every day?
Cozy's gonna laugh at me because it's a sports lesson. And I think every good entrepreneur you listen to, it's always like related to sports, like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. I had a wrestling coach when I was, I think, in junior high, and he told me if you do the little things right, you'll do the big things right. And that's a quote that I tell my staff, my subcontractors. Cozy hears it probably 3 or 4 times.
I've heard it either.
Oh yeah, because if you do the little things right, you're going to do the big things. You have to, the devil's in the details. You have to, be prepared, get everything done, and you can't skip over the little things, or the big things will fail.
Mm-hmm. I like that. If you had to describe yourself in one word, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. Driven, I think, is probably it. Like there's no letdown. There's no stop.
Mm.
We keep hiring staff and we keep getting bigger and bigger. And I keep thinking like I could slow down and probably make the same amount of money for my family without the staff and without everything else. But to grow a big organism that is our business now, that you have to be driven. You have to work on Labor Day, which I did. There's no time off. My mind never stops. It's constantly going. So driven probably.
Okay.
Or manic or crazy.
Extra.
Extra.
Okay, that also works. Those adjectives are all in the same row.
There's no I don't let off the gas. Whether it's if I'm playing golf, I'm playing golf. If we're having cocktails, we're having all cocktails.
Yep.
There is no
all gas, no break.
100%.
I like that. I like that. What would you say is the key to perseverance when everything feels stacked against you?
Right foot, left foot. It's a great quote I heard. Like you might have a huge task to take on, but you'll never finish it. It's that, one bite out of a time sort of thing. If you just keep, right foot, left foot. If we got to sell 100 houses, we can't do it without selling the first one. You have to keep moving. You have to keep busting through the walls and getting, being very goal oriented.
Do you feel like when, as leader of the team and with Affinity, do you feel like there's been times where you've recognized that fatigue or burnout in your staff? And then what would you say has been one of the keys to encouraging them or keeping them on track? Or, do you feel like it's your...
I was just telling Levi last week that I think I might just go be a cleaner.
Right.
Yeah.
Leading people is the hardest thing that it's
Why?
the it's the hard because not everybody has the same goals. They don't have the same path.
Hmm.
Cozy and I are different because we are on the same path. I can, you talk trash to her and that gets the best out of her. The competitive nature of us is like, oh, this builder's doing more houses than us. We have to go beat them. But not everybody's wired like that. So you have to kind of figure out how each person is wired, what's important to them,
Mm-hmm.
what their how their lifestyle wants to be. Not everybody has to live like I live. The high stress, the risk. I mean, that's a big part of it. So getting to each individual's into their psyche and into what drives them is hard and fun all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And people are tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Managing emotions is the hardest thing to manage.
100%.
Yeah. It's that subjective that kind of, I think it's that gray area. I agree with you on that.
And I'm not exactly the most caring person. It's like,
Come naturally to you.
no, feelings are tough for me.
Okay. Well, that's maybe why we're going to work out.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll bring the feels and you can bring the hard line. I need some of that. How do you feel like you separate yourself from other builders in the industry?
Our customer service is what sets us apart. I always tell all of our clients that every builder uses the same subs. We all use the same vendors. Our customer service is what sets us apart.
Mhm.
When I sold for the other builder, the two big complaints that I always got was not enough communication with the builder, and people didn't know where they're at with their budget, which is a big thing. Everyone's heard the horror stories of building a house and they go to closing and they're $40,000 over budget. They didn't know. So we have a couple of systems in place, systems and processes that that alleviate that, and the communication with our clients.
Okay.
And my person.
That makes sense. I agree. Yeah. And your ready attitude.
Yeah.
What makes your work and your vision different?
I think it's just bigger. I think the one thing I've done really well is surround myself with we're in Montana. There's not a lot of people with there's just not a lot of people first. And then there's not a lot of people with big goals and dreams. They're happy, fishing on the weekends and that kind of stuff, where I'm driven to build a big company. And I've surrounded myself with people nationally that share the same goals, same visions, that we can bounce ideas off and we can, grow those bigger companies and leave a legacy for our family.
That's perfect. So my next question, that leads into my next question is, when you hear the word legacy, what does it mean to you personally, not professionally?
Personally, so we grew up super poor. And so like legacy to me, that our kids don't have to live that lifestyle. Cozy was just with my son this weekend and they were and my buddies and they were telling stories and my son was like, quit telling stories. Well, my friends think I'm prepping. They think, it comes from a well-off family. So he doesn't have to live that life that we did. So to me, it's legacy to me. I don't really care what other people think. I care about what my people think, what my kids, my sisters, those people think, my wife, obviously. Think about how I've taken care of them and driven them to help their goals.
I think I have a question off of that. How, because you grew up like poor and you have the drive to do better, how do you keep that drive alive in your kids when maybe they don't have to work as hard as you because they've been given more opportunity just financially?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when you get the answer, you let me know.
Yeah.
So I'll say for Cameron, he does not want to disappoint his dad. Is his big reasoning for why he does things. He doesn't realize that he's obviously young and still trying to find where he fits. But even if he knows you're mad at him, he'll they'll get into it at first, and then he'll go think about it, and then he'll call back.
I think I'm a big lead by example person. Like our dad did that with the work ethic. But I think if you lead by example, that it'll rub off like that drive. And if my kids want to grow up and be teachers or an assistant somewhere, I'm fine with that as long as they're doing it the best and they're happy. I mean, that's the hard part to find is what makes you happy. I wouldn't say taking on the risk and the stress level that I take on is the best way to do that, but that's what makes me happy. I'm not happy unless I'm, under a gun, have to sell something. But for them to find happiness is probably the best answer.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Like making them work even if they don't
Oh, yeah.
necessarily have to.
Oh yeah.
And encouraging them to play
I tell them
sports.
yeah.
like-
Oh yeah.
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 My working out, all of that kind of stuff. Those are things that are us.
Yes.
And keeping things clean, even if
Taking
you
pride in-
taking pride of what you have.
Or to like, you don't have money, I have money.
Yeah. Somebody they made a joke one day, oh, we have money. I'm like, you don't have money, I have money. Like
Let's get it straight.
right.
Yeah, let's keep it straight, get it straight, and keep it straight. Yeah,
Exactly.
kind of that earned mentality.
You're
Kind of that you talked about in the beginning. I thought it was neat because when you were kind of describing with Cam, it almost seemed like you kind of had to pull back a little bit of emotion. Am I
No,
right?
he got emotional is what made me get emotional.
Yeah, I could see it too. I could see it too. I could see it too. I could see it too, where you kind of were pulling back, and I think it's neat because you guys have such a close family unit. But I think, just from like bird's eye view or from surface view, it seems as though your guys' relationship with one another, kind of even as you guys talk about Cam and stuff, is extremely important.
oh well. Like I got 2 sisters and the kids, and my wife, and we'll go to war. Like this is what we lock it up.
I love it. I think it's refreshing to kind of peel back some layers.
Oh, I know.
Fine.
What's fun about that is we
Sorry, is that Mike? I just want to give a little.
What's fun
encouraging.
about that is we'll work harder than anybody because we know what we're striving for. And I don't know if you can get that with somebody that's not in your core circle. It doesn't have to be your sibling or your family member, but you've got to find those people that you want to go to war with every day. And that's what makes it fun. If you want some kind of domination, you have to have like-minded people, and those are hard to find.
Well, and that's when we end up with like, we have our nephew working here. We have their nephew's wife working here. One of Levi's best friend's sisters works here. Yeah, you have to, and I feel like we have to do all kind of like think alike about that.
Do you feel like it's made kind of the growth easier or effortless? Do you feel like it's made it where you have this kind of culture mentality where you maybe feel more seen because everyone has this same mentality? Like what about that? Do you feel like you go to war together, so you have the same drive, but like what about other than that? Like what comes out of that war?
Well, I think it's the not wanting to let that person down, that whoever you're working with, because there's more at stake. If you're working at the hospital and you let the doctor down for you forget something, or you don't really care. Like, no, they'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like
You deal with life.
yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you forget something, or if you do something stupid, it kind of goes by the wayside sometimes. But like if you're working with someone you care about, your family, something like that, you don't want to let them down. Like all of our livelihoods depend on this success, and that's a big thing for me.
What do you feel like you're really chasing? Like, is it success? Is it impact? Is it freedom? Do you feel like it's something deeper? Does it connect to the legacy that you're trying to leave? You talk about that financial freedom is what I've kind of heard you say, and that you want to, you want your boys to experience better than even what you had, that you have this goal you're all driving towards kind of with this left foot, right foot. But like, what is it you're really chasing?
It's free. It's the freedom to be like, oh, we want to go to Phoenix. We can leave tomorrow. I'm not a big toy guy. I don't buy boats and RVs and not real flashy. I've got nice watches, but that's for nice car. But I don't really care about money. That money is just a scoreboard of how you keep score. To me, it's about taking care of my family, and if we want to go to Pittsburgh for a football game, we can book a last minute flight and go. Or we have what we need, decent house, that kind of stuff. Like the freedom to me is the best. If we want to take off, we can.
Do you feel like that was something that was maybe missing in?
It's missing in everybody's life. If you're the velvet prison is what I call it. If you're working an 8 to 5 job, you have to put in a request for a vacation. If you're out of your 2 week vacation, like I've built it now to where I'm planning to work in Phoenix all February. Like all bail. And my team is strong. Everybody keep the machine running. I talk about a lot about this. We've built this velvet prison where we buy these things. You go buy a boat, like my next door neighbor, 2 boats, 2 RVs. And he's like a 30-year-old kid. The problem is then he's strapped to these things. Then has to go to work. He can go on a weekend and go camping, but that's not real free. You still have to be at work every day. You still have to go do those things. When you're building your own mission, you're able to do that wherever you want to do it at any time.
That's a like amazing perspective to me, actually. Like that is pretty neat. I'm like, okay, that has me kind of okay.
And the system has it built like that. So we get trapped into it. Why do you think they give you credit? Why do you think they give you all of these things to keep you locked into working your 40-hour job, paying the taxes, and then you're strapped, and then it's built. And the only ones that are breaking through that are entrepreneurs because they have the vision, they have the drive to go. You have to work more than 40 hours a week to build that machine, but it's worth it in the end.
Mm-hmm. 10 years from now, how do you want people or others to talk about the mark you've left behind? So that kind of ties to legacy, but like, what do you want them to say about the mark you're leaving?
I never really care what people say because when you start, people say, "Oh, there's no way you can do it. There's no way they'll be able to do it." And then when you start doing it, then they still talk trash about you. They're still like, "Oh, I can't keep it up." And then when you're on the top, like we're at the top of volume in Montana, then you're the target. So people are always trying to like bring you down of some sort, like unless it's like you're close to it. And like our customers, I want them to say that we treated them well, we took care of them, we said we do. Our subcontractors, it's very important to me that we pay them on time. We help take care of their families. That way it's happy. My staff, I meet with them quarterly about their goals and their vision for their lives. I want them to think like Levi helped me get to the place I want to be with you, with everybody. And other than that, I don't really care what anybody else says. As long as my customers and my staff and my close knit of friends, as long as they're taken care of, then I don't really care what anybody else says.
Well, what do you feel like's been your biggest hack in entrepreneurship? Like, is it the shortcut? Yeah. What's your biggest hack? What's your biggest hack?
If I were to start a business today, I would say learn sales. Sales is the biggest thing that you can make. You can make great income, learn the product, learn the systems, and then you can reverse engineer a business from that. But if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. If sales in your work ethic, you can't. A lot of realtors show up and then they watch HGTV, they watch the selling shit, $1 million listings, and they think they can work 3 hours a day and make it work. It's just not the case. Work ethic in sales is the only thing I'll get you.
Do you feel like discipline or mindset has made the greatest difference for you?
The more discipline I get, the better we get. It's when I do 75 hard, when when I'm locked in discipline wise, that's when we have our biggest growth. And that's probably one of the hardest things I have to deal with because I do like to have a good time. I do, but if I'm working out, if I'm drinking the water, if I'm reading, self-improvement books, our business does better and everybody's better taken care of. So it's a struggle. It's a muscle you got to work, but discipline's probably the biggest hack to get through.
So you feel like it kind of doubles down on the mindset?
1,000,000%. Right.
Okay.
If you don't have a mindset for domination, I don't know if you'll have it in business. Like you can't be half pregnant. You have to be 100% in and want to go to war every day. And your competition's your enemy. And I'm friends with a lot of the people that I compete against, and they do think I'm overly competitive. But that's a them problem, not me.
I love that.
I try to curtail that a little bit.
The long pause, like,
I have to
okay,
be careful with my
I
work.
want to go to war.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't get to be Michael Jordan without working like Michael Jordan.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. Yeah, mama mentality.
And that you'll go ahead. And that goes with everything. Like the you have to be physically, in shape, and that's a battle for me. I get chubby, but
But then we see you do
but
walks
then you're
on the ground.
75 hard, and that kind of thing. That mindset has to be there, and it has to be there for a majority of your life. Or the best part about business is that it's like a sport, but it never ends. My Braves suck this year, but they have an ending to the season. The best thing about being an entrepreneur is it doesn't end. So it's a lifelong sport that you can, if you're losing, you can make a comeback and do well. And if you have that mentality, that it's a lifelong journey that you have to tackle every day, you can't lose. There's just no losing.
Yeah, because a real win is your consistency that you continue to show up regardless. Yeah. What would you say is your biggest flex? So one of the wins you're the most proudest of that speaks for itself.
On my vision board was the gold Tony Soprano Rolex, and I got it a couple of years ago. That by far is my biggest flex so far. But I am buying a plane, so that will be it.
Okay, I love it.
But helping Cozy build her business, helping my staff, reach their goals. That honestly, in my soul, is the biggest flex. That's not a material thing, not a house, nothing like that. Like helping people get to their goals is by far the most fulfilling thing.
What are the 3 principles you live by that have been the foundation of your success?
It goes back to the little things. Do little things right, you do the big things right. Another one that I don't think gets talked about enough is it's not what you're worth, it's what you negotiate. Negotiation is another big skill. And I'm just gonna outwork everybody. I'm still doing open houses. We're moving into Great Falls. We're gonna push harder than everybody else all the time. And I take criticism well. All of these, if a subcontractor is like, hey, I think this house will be better if we do this. There's no ego in that for me. Stay egoless. When I started building houses, I didn't know how to build houses. So I'd ask the subs, they'd say, hey, what should we do here? And I'd be like, hey, what do you think? You're the plumber. I don't know. And having that, not having the ego into that has helped. So those are probably the biggest 3. You just got to want them, everybody.
Yeah. Got to keep going. Court, do you feel like you have anything you want to ask or chime in on?
I think I had just a couple random things.
You want to trade me out? Yeah, you look cute. Trade me out. Let's go.
Rotate.
Random thoughts. So you're getting your pilot's license or becoming a pilot.
Yep.
What made you decide to do that, and how does that connect to your pursuit of everything, your pursuit of excellence?
Well, so I've always wanted to do it. I've always been interested in it, wanted to do it. One of my best friends is a pilot. He owns a plane. It's a time machine. The thing you can get anywhere. I can see it, in Montana, we can see if it's going to be 20 below a couple of days in advance. Like throw my golf clubs in the plane and hit Phoenix.
So that comes along with the freedom.
The freedom.
That we were talking about, just to be now I don't even have to try to book a flight.
Right.
I'm just gonna.
Now we don't have to go through TSA. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to do it. Never thought I'd be able to do it. I do think you have to be a lifelong learner. We're always reading books, that kind of stuff. So that kind of fits into that. Not being a good student is not great for that. So that's where the discipline comes in. But then we're building in 3 other markets that we're in Montana, where everything's 3 hours away.
Yeah.
So that's gonna make me be able to get to those places faster, and so I can stay on top of our competition in that direction. So, and I think it's just cool.
I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
That was kind of my biggest one that we didn't already cover. I think maybe just wrapping up, what would be next for you? What's your next big goal? I know you said you guys are pushing into Great Falls.
Yeah.
So just to continue to expand your business, but is there anything else that you're this is I'm going to get my pilot's license. Like, then what's next?
Yeah.
Because you seem like somebody who's always got
Always got something next.
Yeah.
The next thing, I think we have to like learn about land development. We have that way we can control the land, the houses, the selling. That's the big next push. Multifamily. We got to start building multifamily apartments, car washes, commercial, everything real estate. That's all I know.
That's
You know, stick to one thing and do it well.